There we go. I used to hire people to do that for me. My name is Dave, and I'm a journalist. I can say that because, well, I just said so. And I'm a blogger or podcaster because I have a chroma key set up in my mom's basement. You see, that's what I want to talk about today. People are conflating journalism with social media and online content generated by anybody. Anybody. Anybody can say that they are reporting the truth. And in the process, we are confusing opinion for truth. Give me a minute or two because I've been meaning to rant about this for quite a while. These days, everyone is a journalist. Now, that sounds so democratic and righteous, doesn't it? And it's all due to the democratization of media. There is no barrier to entry. All you need is a cell phone and you can be a reporter. And you as a reporter know the facts as truth because, remember, you're the reporter. You say so. And your followers accept that. So yes, everyone is a journalist now, period. We have to accept that. So a little bit about me. I studied journalism. I was in the field on and off for more than 30 years, either as a staffer at a major media news outlet or as a freelancer for a major media news outlet. Full disclosure, I was mostly a wacky feature reporter. I'm Dave Stoke. Whoa. Oh, God. So you want to be a mermaid? Well, you'll have to go to mermaid school. But I think I do have some journalistic cred. Google me. But here's what I want to ask you. Do all these citizen journalists in the world, all of the podcasters and the bloggers and social media influencers, did they have any training in unbiased journalism? Or should they? I don't know. But do they do all the things I was taught? Do bloggers double or even triple fact-check their information? Do they have fact-checkers and content editors check their work? Sometimes I had a lawyer look over my shoulder. In some cases, a story is sent to an impartial ombudsman or an ethicist before publishing or broadcasting. In fact, when I worked at a major news station, we quashed a story because ethics dictated we do so. This is an interesting case study. The investigative team found a vulnerability in the transit system that a terrorist might exploit, costing thousands of lives. We're talking on par with September 11th. I'm serious. The story would have been a ratings bonanza. Don't take the train to work because we found a place above the Transbay Tube where a terrorist could drop a bomb and drown thousands of people during rush hour. But the newsroom paused. They stopped. They knew it would be unethical to advertise that vulnerability to terrorists. And it was within the station's legal right to go on the air with this information. But the editors put the kibosh on the story and informed the local authorities. Now, would a fame-hungry, eyeball-seeking internet influencer do the same? I don't know for sure, but I'm skeptical. I think some would. In fact, just by being skeptical, I'm being a journalist. Keeping my mind open and challenging my own assumptions, I'm being a journalist. I was taught if your mom tells you she loves you, check it out. Don't worry, I've done some therapy, all good. These days, anyone can blog anything, even blatant lies or conspiracy theories, and it races around the world and quickly catches purchase as truth. Yet they call my colleagues fake news, right? Fake news? We fact check. We fact check. We fact check. We have an objective human being look over our work. We question ourselves, our bias, our motives. And yes, sometimes we miss the mark. Listen to this. After the recent hurricanes in Florida, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, had to stop assisting the recovery of Floridians due to death threats. Why? Well, because word spread on the internet, disguised and accepted as truth, that the government is using the hurricane as an excuse to grab people's property. And get this, the government is controlling the weather. The feds caused the hurricane so they could land grab prime Florida real estate. TV meteorologists were threatened. Truth. Seriously? Seriously? The government controlling the weather? Who would believe such a thing? Well, enough people to make the people at FEMA fear for their lives. Government controlling the weather? I thought there was no nexus between human beings and climate change. Okay, are trained journalists and major mainstream news organizations always unbiased? Are they always accurate? No. No. Nope. No. And I can even admit to a measure of liberal bias, especially in the early decades of broadcast journalism, and I've witnessed it. You see, I can be skeptical of my own profession. But most news organizations have systems in place to course correct over time because we were trained to check ourselves, to doubt our earnestness, and to get as close to the objective truth as we could. And we have structures in place to chase our egos and opinions out of the newsroom. We are also trained to observe facts that go counter to what we might believe, to not confirm our own bias. Just a couple of years ago here in Los Angeles, my news director had me rewrite part of my story because she felt I did not cover the other side adequately. By the way, the federal government used to make licensed broadcast stations tell both sides of a story. It was the FCC's fairness doctrine. Look it up. But someone named Ronald Reagan got rid of that doctrine, and with a stroke of a pen, licensed broadcasters were then legally allowed to report anything one-sided or imbued with opinion, and present that as news. Except most journalists don't need laws to tell us to do the right thing. We journalists learned a craft, a profession. We studied for years, and we trained ourselves to ignore any bias as best we could in search of objective fact. Things that can be tasted, smelled, heard, or seen, and agreed upon by a reasonable human being. This is as close to the truth as any human can get, denuded of opinion. Here's an interesting fact. Mega podcaster Joe Rogan has, on average, 14.5 million views. By comparison, the CBS Evening News has fewer than 4 million viewers. So, Joe has influence. Is it outsized? I don't know. But I ask you this, does he have a system in place for fact-checking any theories that he or his guests entertain on his platform? Does he have anyone on his staff whose job it is not to censor, but to make sure what a guest says is true? Does Joe ever go to a third party to check his work? Or does Joe ever push back with an opposing viewpoint or a counterpoint? Maybe Joe Rogan doesn't think this is his place, or maybe he doesn't realize that just by letting his guests say anything is tacitly agreeing with whatever that guest has to say, even crazy stuff. Recently, Rogan interviewed a major presidential candidate who warned that school-aged children were secretly being transgendered. Seriously, Joe's guest said teachers were covertly taking students to get a sex change operation behind their parents' back. Now, what did Joe Rogan say or do? Nothing. It apparently wasn't his job to push back. He just sat there. But that silence means a lot, especially given his influence, because his silence could easily be interpreted as accepting what his guest says as truth. Journalists are trained to do the opposite. We push back. Fact. There is not one verifiable account of a minor child coming home from school with a sex change. Maybe someone might claim that, but it doesn't check out. Do your own research. There's not one instance. But you know what? I'll keep an open mind. I'm a journalist. But you're going to have to prove to me this, that a teacher can, during a 5-hour school day, grab Johnny, take him to a doctor who would then jeopardize their medical license by doing surgery on a minor without a parent or guardian's permission, perform what is normally an 8 to 10 hour surgery in just a couple, 2-3 hours, forego the weeks-long recovery time, rush him back to public school number 15 so the nefarious school teacher can put Johnny come Jane on the school bus and send him, her, them home to surprise mom and dad. Surprise! Maybe that's true. But you're going to have to prove it. But again, did Joe Rogan say one thing to question this crazy narrative from someone who may very well be our next president? No. And that is not journalism, period. And that is how lies get planted and fertilized. And, I've had people malign me for being mainstream media and faking it. I have to tell you, in my 30+ years, I've never walked into a newsroom or into a pitch meeting where someone said, "Hey guys, let's make it up today." You know what else? I was never invited to that secret national convention at some swanky hotel wherein left-leaning news outlets met and decided upon a common liberal agenda. I wasn't invited, which pisses me off. You know why? Because I probably missed out on some free food and good booze. So yeah, everyone is a citizen journalist. But are we really better off for it? I mean, the internet and global access to information was supposed to enhance society, right? Knowledge is power. It's going to set us free. No, it hasn't. It's torn us apart. We tune into echo chambers and confirm our own bias, rejecting facts that are inconvenient to us. Some of us are never even exposed to facts that might counter our own. We are literally influenced by good-looking influencers, like a famous family who lives just a couple miles from me in Calabasas. God bless them. I mean, seriously. Billionaires like Elon Musk say they believe in radical freedom of speech, where nothing should be curated or edited or vetted. Nothing. Now, this leaves the door open for genuine lies and hate speech. By the way, the First Amendment does not protect all speech. Look up the Supreme Court's shouting fire in a crowded theater theory. I'll go no further than to say our founding fathers did not support radical freedom of speech. Trust me, there are an infinite number of things that can come out of your mouth that will get your butt landed in jail. Trained journalists agree to govern themselves to not publish or broadcast everything. When I worked in the Bay Area, none of the news stations reported on suicide jumpers on the Golden Gate Bridge, which, by the way, happened way too often. The scanner in the newsroom would go off and the reporters ignored the sirens. Why were those deaths not reported? Because they weren't news. It was something personal, and it would have been sensational. And listen, I have to go on the record, as a journalist who has been exposed to that kind of stuff, seeing the frothy, gelatinous remains of a human being after they hit the water going 200 miles an hour is not something anyone should be exposed to. It's awful. But as the internet grew, YouTubers and filmmakers began to report on these tragic deaths. They recorded them, and it attracted eyeballs. But we journalists, our ethical framework informed us that not everything is news. Neither is rumor or a conspiracy theory or even someone's opinion. Opinion is not news. But today, anything can be news, even a lie. Okay, so in a few days, the future of our country will likely be decided by a few thousand voters in 2 or 3 swing states. Statistically, that's just a handful of people among the 150 million voters across the nation. Just a few thousand people will likely say who our next president will be. So you have to ask yourself, where are these voters getting their facts? How are they getting informed? Oh no, don't listen to mainstream media or the fake news. Instead, maybe those voters are getting their opinions from someone like Joe Rogan. Okay, then maybe those voters will think Trump will put a stop to, finally, illegal sex change operations behind the school gym. Because that, delivered to them in raw form without any scrutiny or thoughtful reflection, is truth. And it gets sent down the line as truth. So guess what? Journalism is dead. Long live journalism.